Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Colleen. It's the beginning of a new month, so I'm here to do my reading wrap up. So let's start with the statistics. April was a great reading month for me. I read a total of 15 books, which is all of the TBR Star Jar books in there too, which is great. I didn't get as much done on my wish list as I would have liked to, but that's fine. I still read a lot. And that is a total of 5,200 pages, which is the most pages I have read this year. 5 of books I read I borrowed from the library, and I gave an average star rating of 3 stars. So that's 2 2-stars, 5 3-stars, 7 4-stars, and 1 5-star. So that's pretty good. I also decided to talk about my gender breakdown each month now, just because I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. And I read 8 books written by female authors and 6 written by men. So let's just get right on into it. I'm going to keep my spreadsheet open because there's some things that I have forgotten. But the first book that I read this month in April was Unmentionable, The Victorian Lady's Guide to Sex, Marriage, and Manners by Therese O'Neill. It was the first Star Jar book that I read, and I did enjoy it. I felt that it was overwritten. If you're a big history person, this might not be for you, but if like you don't know a whole bunch and you're kind of like interested in the Victorian age, I think this is a really great gateway. A lot of things I had already known, and it was cool. It has a lot of good pictures in it too, so that's great. And the second book that took me forever to read was another jar pick, and that is The Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, and that is by James Joyce. I have tried and failed to read Ulysses. So far, I got like half, not like a third of the way through, and then gave up on it. It's on my shelf, so I thought that maybe starting with something else that was smaller would be useful, and I'm just starting to think that James Joyce is not for me. I do have one of his other books on my shelf, so I will eventually read that, but yeah, I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of things that I was missing in here. I did enjoy the conversations about religion. I thought that that was really cool, but yeah, I rated it 2 stars. I did not enjoy it. It took me forever to read. While I was reading that, I also read Volume 2 of Black Widow, A Tightly Tangled Web by Edmondston and Gratis. I actually really love these. I don't really know much about the Punisher, and he was in here, so I'm not too sure how that fits in. I don't think I enjoyed this as much as the first volume, and I did end up rating it 3 stars. So I'm going to continue on, don't get me wrong. There was stuff I didn't get. Then I read 2 books that I don't have with me because I borrowed them both from the library, and that is Siege and Storm and Rune and Rising. Those are the second and third book in the Grisha trilogy, or the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I rated them both 3 stars. I did do a series review for it, so that's going to be coming out sometime in the future. I found them both to be just okay. Siege and Storm was definitely a middle book. Everything was setting up the third book, which is, it's fine. It happens. Whatever. I don't like Liliana, and I don't like the person that she's in love with. I still don't understand why people like the Darkling. The big saving grace in those books was Nikolai. He had good character development and all that sort of stuff, but like, it's a 3-star series for me. Both of them are 3 stars. It's fine. Then I read a book that I didn't really know anything about, and that is The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. And I ended up rating this 4 stars. I thought it was really cool and really well done. I loved it. It was one of my TBR jar picks, which is a great thing to get off the list there. And I didn't know that this was actually going to be like letters from a demon to another demon, so that was really cool. And I did enjoy the discussions about religion. I did read most of this on Good Friday too, which seemed very fitting. And I do have Mere Christianity on my shelf, so that's going to be something I want to read rather shortly. And then I do definitely want to read more of C.S. Lewis's works on religion. So I'm looking forward to that. After I finished that, I picked up a book that I bought this month, and that is Darwin, An Exceptional Voyage by Fabien, Grolleau, and Jeremy Royer. And this is just a graphic interpretation of his journey on the Beagle. It was cool. I think that it dealt really well with his life. And there's a whole entire written section in the back that talked about the liberties that they have taken with history, why they did that, other resources that you can look into if you're more like interested in some of the things that they did and all that sort of stuff. They did perhaps exaggerate a little bit some things in this book, but I thought it was great. If you are a Darwin lover like myself, I would highly recommend picking this up. I rated it 4 out of 5, but in my heart it's a 5 out of 5. I will read every graphic memoir that these two put out. Every single one. So I'm definitely going to have to start searching for them to make sure that I do pre-order. The next was Goldenhand by Garth Nix, and this was my favorite book that I read this month. It is, I think, the last book in the Old Kingdom or Aborson series, which makes me sad because I love this series so much. I do have one short story collection left to read before I can do my series review for it. It's the only series that I read short story collections from, and boy, is that a good idea. But this book follows Lyriel and Nicholas again, and it's good. I did find that the chapters were a little bit short and made the plot seem a little bit more choppy, because it is a dual perspective novel for at least the first, I would say, 2/3. And that I found a little bit annoying, but it is written for middle grade, so I think that it would fit a shorter attention span a little bit better. But I still rated it 5 out of 5. I have nothing but good things to say about this book. I loved it so much. I think I'm going to have to buy the Keys to the Kingdom series, because I have Mr. Monday, and I love Garth Nix so much, and I want to just keep reading his books forever. But yes, 5 out of 5 stars. Would highly recommend. Then I read one of the books that I got from the library, and that is 3 Bags Full by Leonie Swann. This is a cozy mystery where a shepherd gets murdered and his sheep solve it. It is fantastic. I think this is translated from the German, so it is translated fiction, and it's done beautifully, though I would imagine that this would also be hilarious in the original. I believe that there is a second book written in this series, but it has not yet been translated into English, and I don't know if there's any plans for it to be, which makes me very sad, but it was hilarious. I didn't see the twist coming at the end either, which is always very impressive. I rated it 4 stars, and I think this is actually going to be a book that I buy for myself to keep in my collection. Next, I finished a book that I started in March. It was my workbook, and it is, or the book that I was bringing to read at work. And How Not to Die Alone by Richard Roper. This is a very interesting story. I think it's contemporary, definitely adult, and it's about Andrew, who's been feeling stuck because he lied to all of his coworkers about his non-existent family. He takes care of people in his parish that have died alone. He arranges the funerals, tries to find next of kin and things like that, which is a growing problem in our society. And then he meets Peggy, his new co-worker, and then things start to get shaken up. I thought this was really well written. I think Andrew's character development was really good. I struggle personally with the lying, but that's just because of my own philosophical beliefs. But I mean, he's struggling too, and I think it's very clear that all this has stemmed from the fact that he just doesn't have anyone in his life. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. This is an art copy that I got from work, and it is going to be published in Canada on the 28th of May. I will have a full review of this out on my channel closer to its release date, or at least that's my current plan. Then I read 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, because everyone says that this series is better than the Shadow and Bone trilogy, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. I rated 3 stars. I didn't think it was that great. I will have a review coming up for this series shortly too, as I have also just finished Crooked Kingdom today. But I found, again, the characters to be flat but I did really enjoy all of the development in the world building. We got to see 2 different new places, I thought, which was great, but yeah, it's just an average book, which is why I got it from the library. Because Wicked Lovely was actually my last one. This is a series from my youth that I really enjoyed. I rated this 2 stars. I think a lot of the relationships in here are problematic. I don't think that the main character has a lot of agency, but it was fun and it was a nice quick read, so, you know, I didn't hate it. I do have the rest of the series, and I do think I'll plan on reading it, though I'm not sure if it's going to be a series that I end up keeping in my collection. Though I do remember I liked the second book a lot better than the first time I read it. So, we'll see. I didn't finish the series the first time I read it too. That's something else to say. I'm pretty sure I only read the first 3 books. So, yes. Then I read a book that I impulse bought, which is Taxidermy by Alexis Turner, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a book about the history of taxidermy, with lots of beautiful pictures in it, and I loved it. I thought that it was really well done. It was really well written. I think it deals with the topic very delicately, because it is, I think, a delicate topic. A lot of people have a lot of varying opinions on taxidermy. Personally, I like it. I think it's cool. I'd like to own some someday, but it is very expensive. So I would recommend this if you are a fan of taxidermy, and I rated it 4 out of 5. Whew. We're there. The final book. The final book that I read this month was Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. This is the second book in the All Souls trilogy, which is, you know, getting more popular right now because A Discovery of Witches is currently airing, at least in Canada, on AMC. It was a Sundance produced thing. I'm sure you can find it. It's an excellent show, especially if you like the book. I have been thoroughly enjoying it. But I did want to pick up the second book because I had been in the mood for it, and I do really enjoy this world, and this was great. I think parts of the plot, especially towards the latter, like, 6th, were a little bit middle booky. But for the most part, I thought that it did a really good job at balancing being a middle book while, like, being important overall. I think that the relationship developments in here were really good. I think that there was a good mix of tragedy and happiness. I liked the time setting of it. It was great. I rated it 4 stars. I'm very excited to read The Book of Life, which is the 3rd book in this trilogy, and then move on to Time's Covenant, which maybe is the start of a new series. I'm still not very sure about that, but I'm excited about it. But yes, 4 stars. And that's it. That's everything that I read this month. Hopefully May will be just as good of a month. I'm having my fingers crossed because I've already finished 1 book today, and it is the first book of May. First day of May, and as you know from my TBR video that went up when I'm filming this today, I have a lot of cozy mysteries on my TBR for the next month, which is going to be great. They're super quick to get through, and I'm so very excited about it. But yes, thanks for watching. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Please don't hate me for my opinions on Six of Crows and The Shadow and Bone. It's just agree to disagree. It's fine. But yeah, thanks. I'll see you in my next video, which will be my haul, which should be a little exciting, even though you've already seen some books from it. But I'll catch you later. Bye!